Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Parenting Tools podcast. My name is Jason.
And my name is Jordan. This is the podcast, the weekly podcast where, what do? We have a chat about our lives as fathers and as parents and everything that goes with it.
Very good.
Sweet, I'm so tired. Sweet, I'm so tired. You treat me this way. I'm sick and then I'm
George, you've not had a good day, have you?
It has not been smooth sailing. So
I'm not laughing at your pain.
No, please do. So it took me 3 hours 15 minutes to get here to your house from my house.
For reference, it's a 50-minute drive?
Yeah, I left at 4:10 and I thought I'll be there by 5.
It's a long walk.
7. 7:30 in our roll. It was the M1. So if you're not a UK listener, it's a big old road down the spine of the country, was closed, and I was on it when it closed. So yeah,
they kicked you off it.
They kicked us off it. Yeah, they said you off. So it took me like 3 hours longer than usual to get here. I started the day at 5:30, which I will swing back to
In the morning.
Yep. Yeah. I woke up on the journey here. But yeah, it wasn't a nice journey, but I did entertain myself. I thought I'm going to get myself on the radio.
Oh, go on.
And I did.
Did you really?
I did. So I was listening to Capital, shout out Capital, and they said, we're going to do a little segment called, and I've never heard this before, things that you're annoyed about that you shouldn't be annoyed about. And they said, send us a voice note.
What was yours?
Why dentists don't do a Black Friday deal. So I sent them a voice note saying, why don't dentists do a Black Friday? Like, I know it's not retail. I know they're not going to give out like buy one get one free on fill-ins, but seriously, why aren't dentists getting involved? And they played it out on the radio.
Well, is it a national radio or local?
I think Capital is national, isn't it? But I think they've got certain sub-segments.
Oh, you've potentially been on national radio.
Should have given the podcast a shout. But me and my mate did that once. We were stuck in traffic. We used to carpool to work. He lived around the corner. And we were stuck in traffic on the way to work. So we were like, should we see if we can get a shout out on the radio? So we texted in like, can we have a shout out on the way to MAGA? The tunes bringing back the memories. And we were on the way to work, stuck in traffic. And they read it out. So yeah, I sent a voice note to the radio and they played it out.
I've never done that.
It's good crack if you're stuck in traffic. Speaking of voice notes,
Yes.
we put out the call, didn't we, last week? We said, we've not had a voice note from a listener for a while. And Dom
Good old Dom
answered the call.
Friend of the podcast. This is a great voice note. And there's a weird noise at the beginning. I just want to play this. I'm not sure what this is. Can we have this as a little competition? Who can guess what this noise is? 'Cause I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just nothing, but... Volume's off. There it is.
Hey guys, love the show. Got a question for you based on the discussion you were having about sort of gender roles and Peppa Pig. I love Peppa, by the way. Peppa for life. I was just thinking, what's the strangest stereotype you've ever come across as a parent? So for me, my son is just over 2. And once he got mistaken for a girl when we were waiting for a samosa in town, and the guy said, "Oh my goodness, she's so pretty." It was just some random strange we'd never seen before. It was like, "Oh no, he's a boy. He's a boy." It was like, "Oh, but he's got curly hair." Now, you know me, the listeners obviously don't. I've got really, really thick, curly hair. And not only that, my wife is black. So it would have been a genetic miracle if he didn't have curly hair. So I was just wondering, is there any other strange stereotypes you've heard in the past? Keep going, keep doing what you're doing. And sorry, I'm not an international listener. But, you know, Northampton's kind of exotic.
Oh, that's funny.
Thanks, Dom, for the voice note.
Thank
what
you,
a
Dom.
voice note.
That's really funny.
Northampton is not exotic.
No.
What I love about that story is the person was so persistent. When you've already corrected somebody
Yeah.
about your child's like gender,
Don't give the reasoning.
who's got the upper hand here?
They've got curly hair, so I assume they were a girl.
That's such a weird one.
That is a weird one.
I get this quite often, or not so much.
Your hair's not curly.
No. We've encountered this quite a lot with my daughter. But before we get into that, Jordan, have you had any experience with this?
No.
No, none.
No. See, I'm called Jordan.
With your kids?
No, I did. I spoke to a family friend recently. He was like, "Oh, 2 boys then," and I was like, "Oh no, a boy and a girl." But I don't think they were looking at them at the time. I don't think they were looking at my daughter when they said it. So no, I've not had that before. And as soon as she had a bit of hair, my wife was putting a bow in her hair. So
strong signal there.
Yeah.
So my daughter is called Noah, spelt the traditional way. And for new listeners on the podcast, the name Noah for a girl is actually almost as old as Noah for a boy. Most people don't know that. Most people don't care. So as soon as they find out she's called Noah, they assume that they've got it wrong and go, "Oh, he." This happens everywhere, like doctors and the shops, anywhere. And especially when she was younger, she didn't have much hair. We dressed her in mostly gender neutral colours. She wasn't like wearing pink dresses as like a little baby
Not
girl on the
helping her out
shops.
at all.
And so most of the time they assume that she is a boy. And it's like one of those things that we encounter now so much where it's almost like I have to apologise to them. It's like, "Oh no, don't worry, it's fine."
Sorry for your wrong assumption.
Sorry for the awkwardness that you feel now. But she's actually a girl.
I love that like in someone's mind is the defining factor. Straight hair boy, curly hair girl. And like, how different would ultrasound scans be? Like, oh, sorry, we couldn't see what gender they are. They had their hand over their head.
Are most babies born bald?
Yeah, most are. Or gender reveal parties. Be very different.
You know, the balloons that pop, it'd be much harder to see if it's straight hair or curly hair coming from those balloons.
Yeah, but like a pair of straighteners or curling tongs. Curling wand.
It's difficult because I don't know how most people feel like about gender, like stereotypes or anything like that, and it's quite a huge and quite a hot topic at the moment.
Hot topic.
Very hot topic. I don't want to say anything too like risque.
As hot as some straighteners.
But it's like my perspective of like kids are just kids. Like kids are just kids. Like they can play with whatever they like, colours they like, doesn't really matter. But then to go, but they have curly hair. But it's like if a boy was wearing a pink top, they go, "Oh, surely they must be a girl."
Yeah.
It's that kind of correlation that we have, and it's like, I don't know how I feel about it.
I love that Dom would have been stood there with his mop of curly hair.
Yeah.
Thinking, what do you think I am then? I'm not the mum.
I would like to know, listeners, if you've got any stories where you have been, or not you, or your child has been assumed the wrong gender, I'd love to hear. And also, I'd love to hear how you navigate it.
I did it once when I worked in retail when I was a student. I went up to a lady, said, "Hi, sir." She went, "Madam." And I was like, "Oh, sorry, I was talking to that man there, but looking at you." So I like quickly weaseled my way out of it, but I thought she was a man. Oh, wow. So I am coughing, and I apologise if my coughs are coming through. I've been ill again.
Constantly.
Like,
how many weeks is this in a row?
So I was ill 3 weeks ago. I said I had the man flu, was struck down. And then I had a week where I wasn't ill, but I had a sickness bug in the middle of the week. So that wasn't fun. And then 2 weeks ago, it came back. And if you were to listen to our last pod episode, which we recorded 2 weeks ago today, you can hear me swallowing. Like, it's coming. It's on the way. So I'm just so annoyed. It's just so annoying. It just won't go. But this week, we've all been struck down.
Wow.
Kids as well.
Struck down?
Yeah. So my wife, my kids, myself, we've all been ill.
Oh, no.
Obviously, sleep has changed. So I've been saying for a while that my little boy wakes up at 5 in the morning. He was waking up in the night now because he's been ill, coughing. Little girl's been coughing. It's quite cute, really. It's not nice, but it's cute. She coughs that her dummy falls out, and then she's crying because her dummy's falling out. So it's like, bless her. It's quite not nice.
It's not nice when they're so young as well, because there's nothing you can actually do to help them, and they have no clue what's going on.
Yeah, my boy now, he's 3. He's old enough to say that he's feeling poorly. Sometimes he just wants the cow pollen.
Yeah.
Like, I remember you saying once that Noah will say, oh, something's wrong, and she would just go like, ear?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, my leg. I need Calpol for my leg. But he appeared in our bedroom this morning at 5:30 with a torch.
The torch?
Yeah.
It is a torch?
He had a torch, and he was like, Mummy, look, I've got my torch. But that's not the worst thing he's appeared in our room with recently to wake us up.
Go on.
So recently, it was about 6 in the morning, just before 6, like 5:50, 6:57
Very
or something.
precise.
Because I don't wear my glasses when I'm sleeping, so I look at the time and it's blurry. It was 5:50 something, and my little boy appeared in our room, and he was holding his potty, and he went, "Daddy, look at the size of this."
That's brilliant.
Honestly, it's one of those where you can't help but laugh. And I tell you, to be fair to him,
It's a big one.
yeah, it was a big one.
This is not like flung it around.
No, and like he'd take himself to the potty, he'd put the light on in the bathroom that he could reach,
Wow, that's amazing.
and he'd let one, laid one. But yeah, showed up in our room just before 6 o'clock. It was still like, not I've done a big poo poo. It was just like, look at the size of this. So that's how we start the day these days.
Well, Jordan, I discovered something today, which honestly is terrifying.
Today,
This is fresh.
Wow.
Hot off the press. So my daughter's been getting into Teletubbies recently, and when she's been getting into Teletubbies, that means we've been watching Teletubbies too. The OG Teletubbies. I have to make that distinction.
Yeah.
My wife was very clear. Not the new lot. It's still like 10 years old. But on the Teletubbies, it's a bit weird, isn't it? Like when you're watching normally, it's a bit confusing. So we were asking the questions: how was it filmed? Like, how do they get into the costumes? Can you see the zips? And like, you can see like where their shoes are separate costumes, all that kind of stuff. Until we discovered that Tinky Winky, the big purple one,
yep.
is actually 10 feet tall.
No, he's not.
10 feet tall, legitimately.
That's petrifying.
It is. It changed the whole thing.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Like, I thought they'd be big. Because there's obviously people inside
Yeah,
them.
obviously big people, but it's huge. There's some photos of behind the scenes, like of the filming, and it is towering over like the people that are on set to help out.
Is it a tall person in Tinky Winky?
I imagine they're quite tall, but it's just there's a regular person standing next to the costumed person, and that means that Tinky Winky would not fit standing up in my living room.
Really?
Yeah. The tip of his head, like, he's got that big thing on his head.
Triangle.
Yeah, the triangle.
Yeah.
So I'm sure his head would probably fit in, but the triangle would be bent.
So if you were to meet up with Tinky Winky, you would have to go to his house.
I would not be going near it. It's petrifying.
Near his mansion.
Changes the whole dynamic.
Because you think Poe to be a little one.
I thought they'd all be just small.
Poe would be like 7 foot tall.
Yeah, I think 7 or 8 foot tall.
That's outrageous. I'm astounded.
Honestly, I'm going to send you the photo.
Please do. We'll put it online. If you're on TikTok live as we record this, check out Tinky Winky. Tinky Winky actual size.
Look at this.
Flip me. He's on a bit of a camber, to be fair. He's got a head start.
Yes, but that's... You saw him walking down an alley.
Nah. I'd be running.
Oh,
Teletubby bye-bye.
I think I'd just faint.
Over the hill and far away. That's where I'd be.
Teletubby bye.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's funny. Well, I had a bit of a moment recently. So I've mentioned before that my little boy has got an obsession with his little Ted. He's got his little mate, his little Teddy, that goes everywhere with him. And recently he fell asleep without him. And he woke up in the night, middle of the night, saying, I can't find Ted.
Oh, no.
I knew he was in the car. And it's freezing, isn't it?
It's very cold
Very
right now.
cold.
Very cold.
So I thought, right, I'll quickly run down to the car.
Yeah.
Get, not Tinky Winky. I'll get Ted. I'll get Ted out. And I didn't have any trousers on. And I thought, I'm just going to run to the car.
Oh, middle of the night.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
This is like 2 a.m.
Oh, yeah. Worth a chance.
My car's there. Like, no one's going to see me. Be all right. Open the door. My car wasn't there. It was parked round the corner, like parked away from the house. And I was thinking,
It's too late at that
it's
point.
fine. I'll quickly run. The car door was frozen shut. So the security light has come on. The car door's frozen. I can see Teddy in the back of the car just looking up at me. And I'm there in my pants. Freezing.
It's just the sight. Imagine waking up and hearing some noise outside your house at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So you're half asleep and you go to the window and all you can see is just a man in his pants trying to break into a car.
Yeah.
And the only thing he takes is Teddy.
Yeah. Breaking into a car on a driveway that's normally got 2 cars there. So he's taken one of them. He's come back for the other one. So yeah, that was cold and that was petrifying. Just to think, we've got a neighbour's WhatsApp.
Did anyone see you?
No. I was just thinking, I'm going to get on the neighbour's WhatsApp here, aren't I?
What if they have seen you, but they've just not told you?
Fair play. fair play to him. But yeah, that was one. I'm thinking, oh gosh, I'm going to have to run to the car, aren't I?
Because in the middle of the night, as soon as you venture outside your bedroom, that's it. It's too late to turn back and get anything.
Yeah.
Because you're just so tired. You've already made the effort out of the bedroom.
Yeah.
Too late to turn around.
And there's some running involved, so the heart rate was up, bit of adrenaline, didn't go straight back to sleep.
You sweat it just in bed just with the adrenaline pumping through.
Just thinking, please let nobody have seen me. But these are the things that having kids brings.
Yeah, because you wouldn't be doing that.
No.
You didn't have kids.
Not at all.
You'd wake up leisurely.
Yeah.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning.
I wouldn't leave my Teddy in the car.
I've got loads more sleep. Even if you needed something out of the car urgently.
Yeah.
I've got plenty of time to sleep.
Yeah.
I'll put some clothes on before I go up to the car.
Next thing, you're being woken up with a potty, saying, look at this. So yeah, that wasn't fun.
So Jordan, I think we had a comment recently. Do you have this comment?
Do have the comment.
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it's there.
Oh, it's right there.
It's there. So we had a comment on. Well, we didn't have a comment. We got tagged in.
We got tagged.
Comment. So somebody has tweeted, and it was a screenshot of like a tweet on Instagram, which annoys me. Just use Twitter. But it says this. The tech who just did my breast ultrasound put the gel on the wand and said, "Here comes the warm jelly," and started whooshing it towards me like an aeroplane. She stopped dead mid-whoosh, blinked and said, "I'm so sorry. I have twin toddlers and I am exhausted." So, imagine that. Imagine you having like a procedure at hospital and the person's going, "Here it comes." So the comment is this. It was from Karen Bubbles on Instagram, and she tagged us in and said, "Parenting tools, have you ever had this, or has this ever happened to you? Not exactly this, but talking to adults and forgetting that you're talking to adults."
All the time. There is the voice that I used to talk to my daughter in.
Go on.
I can't do it. I can only do it when she comes into the room. It's high pitched. I don't know where I learned it from. Apparently, when they're really young, it's good to talk to them in like over exaggerated, high pitched tones.
Is it?
Apparently so.
Oh.
I always thought, why don't you talk to them like adults? But apparently it works. And so my daughter picked up something fairly early on. She likes the sounds of words and she'll just repeat them. One of her favourite words early on was booby.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
She likes what comes from it.
Yeah.
The next thing she liked to do was to point out whenever she saw someone that had boobies.
Oh dear.
And she learnt fairly early on that men's boobies aren't called boobies.
No, man boobies.
Yeah, man boobies. But she would often
Nothing
point.
comes out of them.
She would often point to my sister-in-law and goes, "She has boobies. Mummy also has boobies."
Everyone's got boobs.
But then she took it one step further and then made up a song about
the booby
boobies.
song. Go on.
It wasn't particularly that good. She's only.
It wasn't her best booby song effort. Not the best song
The
I've heard
melody
about
was
boobies.
quite simple. There was only one word, and that was booby. But she'd often like to sing that whilst going shopping.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pushing her through Aldi, and the song that she chooses to sing is the booby song.
The booby song. Go on, how did it go?
I can't remember. I do remember, it's just too awkward to try.
It'll be clipped online, on social media.
Maybe one day I'll pluck up the courage.
Yeah, for all eternity.
First single.
What a nightmare. So did you ever have it where she'd just start singing it and people would be looking around?
Oh, yeah, all the time. And obviously, that's not where it stops with kids, because the more they learn, and especially if you think something's funny, they'll repeat it.
They'll know.
And so every sort of bodily
Dear me.
item of atomy.
And anatomy.
Every item that she learns, she latches onto it.
Dear me.
Use your imagination.
I'd rather not. Dear me, that's hilarious. And how long did that phase last?
We're still in that phase.
Oh no.
It's moved from the song phase to more just a matter of fact.
Yeah.
It's just an observation that she chooses to announce to everyone else in the room. But this weekend, we went to stay with a bunch of friends, and so there was 4 couples, each with a child.
You text me about this.
Yeah.
And this sounds like carnage.
So we spent 2 nights all together in one house.
Wow.
Granted, one couple chose to stay in a hotel or at a relative's house.
Do they have kids?
They do.
Ah, okay.
But that was a smart move.
That was a very smart move.
Very
That's
smart
why I
move.
asked if they had kids.
Our daughter was the oldest. Had 2.
Wow.
Yeah. And the worst part, I say the worst, it was the worst and the best, is like really long-term old friends. And so you're catching up all the time.
Yeah.
But as soon as the kids are in bed, that's your time to talk as adults.
Yep.
That's a problem when you've not talked as a group for a long time, because you're up until early hours in the morning.
Yeah.
And then you're awake
That's it.
early hours
That's it.
in the morning.
Yep.
And so literally, like all of us, like the zombies. You get to the last day, everyone's just like zonked out. So much so that on the last day, we decided to go to a soft play. There's a big soft play in Northampton called Berserk.
Shout out Berserk.
It's exactly as you would imagine. The name fits it very well.
Apt.
I was so tired that on the way, I got really self-conscious that I was wearing joggers and Chelsea boots. I'd only taken boots with me as the only form of shoes, but I was too tired to put jeans on. But I was so tired that I rationally thought, this is outrageous. So before I got out the car, I put jeans over the top of my joggers.
There's nothing wrong with being outside without any trousers on. You double layered in a soft play.
Double layered, but it was just that I was so tired. I thought that was the most rational thing to do.
Yeah.
As soon as we got in there, it must have been the change of temperature, because I went, this is stupid. Just whipped them off. But somebody else in our group was so tired that they didn't realise until we got to the soft play that they weren't actually wearing shoes. They were wearing slippers.
Oh, okay. Had they driven in them?
They were in the car. Not an intentional
right.
choice,
Okay.
but out in slippers. Anyway, that was
That is sleep deprivation
yeah.
at its finest.
And like when you've got kids, you don't really care, do you? Like,
No. Especially when you get a soft play, you just take them off anyway.
it's carnage there anyway.
Yeah.
It's like feral. If I'm really honest, I wanted to go on the soft play by myself.
Just
like
some
it was like a
space.
massive jungle gym. They looked really fun.
They do sometimes.
And I
don't
wanted
they?
to like cane it just all the way through it. And they had
out of the way.
They had this massive like, you know, those trampolines that are like built into the floors.
Yeah, love them.
But it was like a bouncy castle version. But it had a massive writing all around it saying no adults. I really just wanted to try and do a belly flop onto it. They should do soft plays for adults.
Yeah, well, I think there are. Oh, what was that program called?
Ninja Warrior.
Like Ninja Warrior, but stupid in America, and there's massive balls. Total Wipeout.
Total. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, they have places like that for adults.
Do they?
Somewhere.
Somewhere they exist.
Yeah.
If you could let me know.
I might have just made that up. Do you know what? I was listening to the last week's podcast episode with my wife, and she said, "You don't half make some stuff up." And it's not that I intentionally make stuff up, but I think I've seen it somewhere, or I've heard it somewhere, literally once, and it comes back to me so foggy, and I'm thinking, I've been up since 5:30. Am I making this up? But I'm pretty confident I've seen like Total Wipeout indoor things, adult friendly.
I had the exact same text from my wife today. And it's not even like she texts me something about we were talking about like going through the Smiths catalogue, like the toy book, and she texts me going, "You weren't there," and I could have sworn I remember it happening.
You'd have done it when you were younger.
But it's one of those things when you're so tired and you like people tell you stuff, it just becomes part of the memory.
It's just a thing. Yeah. It's just a thing. Do you know, like on your iPhone where it comes up with featured photos?
Yes.
Like my wife loves that, and I like them as well. They're nice, aren't they? I can't remember half of the stuff that we've done, and there's pictures of me doing it, and I just can't remember it at all.
Have we touched on this on the pod before with my legitimate memory loss?
No.
So legitimately, so when I got married, first year of marriage, my wife went through brain surgery. Quite traumatic.
Yeah.
And then when my daughter was born, that was even more traumatic. Not because we've got a daughter. The kids are quite traumatic.
Curly hair.
But look, she was in hospital loads. She nearly died a bunch of times. And one of the ways that my brain has like tried to protect itself is it just lost loads of memories.
Really?
Yeah. So the way that your brain stores memories, this is not... I don't know if this is complete factual. This is how I've been told.
This is really cool.
This is what I've been told. Is that your brain stores memories in like clusters.
Yeah.
But not of the same time. So you'll have a cluster which your brain has just determined they all just fit together. Right. I'm going to store that one with this group of memories. So you could have a week's worth of memories all scattered in different places in your brain. When you go through trauma, sometimes your brain just loses some of those clusters. In a way, almost like to protect yourself, or just because you've been through trauma and your body does weird things. Yeah. And so I legitimately cannot remember so much like stuff from my life. There are stories that I tell that Em tells me now, which I told her like 2 years ago, and I can't remember it.
That's insane.
Mad. So even things like I don't remember much in the years leading up to being married. I don't remember certain patches like of the first. So I've been married for 5 years. I've got patchy memories of all of it. I remember certain big things, but there'll be photos I see on my phone. I don't remember it.
Maybe that's why my memory's gone bad.
Maybe.
All these 5 o'clock wake-ups.
And sleep deprivation does harm your memory as well.
Wow. Maybe that's it, because I can remember thoughts and feeling certain things when I was little, like 3, 4, but I can't remember things that happened a year and a half ago.
It's honestly, it's true. And like I think with the way that your brain remembers things, emotion makes the memory like easier to recall. Yeah. So if you've got that's why like obviously birth of your kids, all those sort of things, they're easier to remember, and you can remember vivid details about a lot of them.
Wow.
Because it's like very emotional. But yeah, legitimately, there'll just be things where, like, again, last weekend we're chatting with a bunch of friends. There's stuff we were talking about. I'm like, I have no recollection of that event.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I've got no trauma though as an excuse. Just forgetful.
But and then like it does it. There's loads of the things that your body does from trauma, and like it's now where even last week I was chatting to somebody where I feel like I'm not able to do as much at the same time as I used to be able to do because of like what you go through trauma and stuff like that. Could be just because I'm tired.
Yeah.
But also just having those effects of like parenting's tough enough as it is. But yeah, just a really weird thing. I'm not like emotional about losing the memories. It's just it is what it is.
Yeah.
And they might come back. They might not.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I've learned something.
There we go.
Drop a like on the video if you've learned something. That's really, I enjoyed listening to that.
There you go.
Shame you won't remember anything
Do you know
about it.
what?
But I'll do my best to hold on to that memory.
I would love to know if there's any like neuroscientists that listen to this that can correct or at least speak some factual information into what I've said.
That's cool.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, let us know. parentingtoolspod@gmail.com. So, Jace, last week I went to see James Bay.
Oh.
And do you know what, I had a great time.
Just for those people who don't know who James Bay, can you sing us one of his songs?
Hold back the river.
Ah, okay.
So
yeah.
I went to see James Bay and I left feeling really old. And that's not because he's got a young fan base, because he hasn't, because it was actually quite a good age spread. I felt very at home with the age. And do you know, I've actually seen him before and it was full of teenage girls. And me and my mate were all right with it because we're not the tallest of men, but we could see because it was just a load of kids. So we were all right. But this time, we could still see. We were on a little raised up bit. We could see, also known as a step. And I stood up for like 2.5 hours, and my back just ached. And I just thought, I'm so old. I can't even stand here for 2.5 hours. Not move, not lift anything, just hold myself up.
Just stand.
And my back was so sore. And I just thought, you're old.
I remember you texted me going, I hope he does a few slower songs so I can get a bit of sleep.
He did a lovely acoustic set.
Did he serenade you off?
Oh, I'll tell you what, he can. He's so good as James Bay. If James Bay is ever listening to this by any chance, he's a recent parent, I think.
Really?
Not making it up.
There we go.
Pretty confident he's become a dad recently. James, if you're listening, what a man you are.
I'd love to know how you do gigging around kids.
Let's get him on.
Like, are you just booking a hotel and using work as the excuse to stay away?
That must be hard, though. We mentioned about musicians before.
Because
having a baby, touring, being away.
Because I remember listening to the Peter Crouch podcast.
Gonna come on to Peter in a
and
bit.
He would, before a football game, he'd go book a hotel, even for the games at home.
So you could get some decent sleep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you'd need to.
And he got like 4 kids or something.
Yeah. You'd need to, wouldn't you?
You would need to. Got to do your job.
That's a really good point.
But I think there was also rumour of having an extra night in the hotel.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a press conference the next day.
Have you seen that quote where he said, my wife like really isn't into football. She texted me one day saying, where are you?
No.
And he was like, at a game. Playing a game.
No way.
Yeah, he was playing. He was doing his job. So I want to cover a little bit of a deep bit.
Ooh.
Speaking of Peter Crouch, that's a nice segue. Didn't know you were going to mention it.
Oh, there we go.
So I was listening to the Diary of a CEO podcast, Stephen Bartlett, the other day, and
great podcast, by the way.
really good
Phenomenal.
podcast, really good podcast. And Peter Crouch was on, and I thought, I like Peter Crouch.
I've not heard that one yet.
It's a good one. Recommend it. And he was talking about his dad and how his dad played a really like key part of him becoming a footballer and his career and stuff. And he said something that kind of resonated with me a little bit, being a parent and doing a parenting podcast. He said his dad was tough on him. Sometimes, in his opinion, maybe he went a bit too far. And Stephen Bartlett, in the way that he does, says, talk about that. What do you mean by that? And he said that his dad was really like tough on him in terms of pushing him with his career. He knew that he had something. He knew that he could be a pro. And one training practice, he jumped out of a tackle. Someone was coming in 50-50. Crouchy jumped out of the tackle. And when training finished, his dad wasn't there. His dad just left.
Wow.
This was the day before mobile phones.
Wow.
So he just had to walk home. And so he got home and his dad said he let him know in no uncertain terms, you don't back out of challenges.
Wow.
And he was a kid. He just had to walk home. And he said, I never backed out of another challenge. And look where I am. Look where it got him. How mad is that? And then I think, like, as a dad, it's hard, isn't it? Because rules are different now and society's different. Like if you were to smack your child in public, you'd get in trouble. But in the 90s, like when we grew up, it was all right. Maybe a little bit, frowned upon at times. I don't know. I can't remember. But that whole thing of like his dad was tough on him, but it made him who he is, makes me think, if I want to give my kids like the best chance, are there going to be times, and there are going to be times you have to be tough on them, but like how? Where's the line?
It's huge, because like you take any, usually you take any sort of sporting great or anything like that, and it's largely due to the way that the parents were with them. Like you think of the Williams sisters, the tennis players. There's that new film about their dad and obviously pushing them, but in education first, and then obviously being. I've not seen the film, so can't speak too much into it. But it's really hard to get right, because I want to be as loving as possible to my daughter. Yeah. Obviously, there's times when you've got to do tough love for them to learn, and it's like that moment when they're crying that they don't want to go to sleep. So you could just sit and cuddle them all night. That's what they want. But it's not going to help them learn healthy habits of sleep. And it's taking that to another level of, sometimes if we want it's not even if we want the best, like to get the best out of people, it requires like tough love. And I don't know what that balance is. Because also I don't want to force my daughter into things that I wanted to do, or put those sort of desires first, or that sort of thing, because that's quite common as well, like living your dreams for your kids.
Project Mbappe. Yeah
Exactly.
And that's something as well I'm mindful of. Like we touched on it recently about football and boys playing football, girls playing football. Like we're not gonna force football onto my little boy because I like football. I'd love it if he played football, and I'd love it if he was good at football. But
then there's also the element of kids don't, like, because kids are generally so ruled by emotions, they won't always make decisions that are the best decisions. And so it's knowing when to go, actually, no, you're going to do this, like, you're committed to this, you got to do it right. And when to go, actually, that's too much, let's take a step back. I don't know if there's not a handy guide out there.
But yeah, it just made me kind of think, like, now that he's a dad, and he was saying maybe it was a bit far, but then he was like, I never backed out of another challenge. And it's like, well, obviously that's a life lesson that he was fine. Like nothing happened to him walking home. He was okay. Probably different times now.
And it's that fear, isn't it? 'Cause I think he even said like maybe it's a bit too far, but I probably think that kids are a lot tougher than I think they are. And obviously we're all conditioned by our own upbringings, and we make decisions based on that. Either we do it like our parents, or we choose to do it differently in certain areas because of how we felt. But it's like sometimes, and like my daughter has me wrapped around her finger, and it's like I need to remember a lot. She's tougher than I think she is. Like they could take a lot more, and just because she's crying doesn't mean she's genuinely like upset about that thing. Could be she's just overtired or just having a tantrum. But it's a really hard line.
It is, and like this, and we say this a lot. Like we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, and there's going to be things down the line that. But and then I just think like my parents were strict with us at times. Like we knew where the line was, and I think I've said this before. Like we had my mum and dad would always give us a warning. Like if you do this again, like this is what's going to happen, and they tell you 3 times. If you get to the 4th time, that's your own fault, and that's the way I see it now. You've been warned. Like so you're going to lose whatever you're playing with, or you're going to have to go to your room or whatever. So I think like, is that the approach I'm going to take with my kids? And it's just hard, like, and then I think it's not now. Worry about it later. But then I think, but it's good to forward plan.
It's good to plan and like set precedent, isn't it? And like be consistent in your parenting and all that sort of stuff seems really quite helpful. Like we're at the stage where like we're really now kind of finding our discipline rhythm, like because she's 2.5, she understands a lot. She now understands consequence, and we've got like a little warning system in, and it's all right, this is your warning, that's it, next one is the consequence. And more often than not, she'll make a good choice and do what we've asked, or stop doing what we've asked them not to stop doing.
Yeah.
But it's like, and I don't know whether it's the terrible twos or all that sort of stuff, but we definitely feel a lot more pushback. But this stage, it's just about like minor stuff.
Yeah.
This is not like developing lots of skills or all that sort of stuff. It's just doing day-to-day activities. When they get older, and it's like, in that case, like Peter Crouch's case, that's a potential career, and it has set him up.
Yeah. Set his dad up.
Yes.
You know what he was doing.
But that's like the truth, isn't it? Like, actually, would he be the player he is now if it wasn't for the way that his dad was? And there's no way to answer that.
And he was laughing about it.
Yeah.
So it's obviously, well, maybe. Who knows? Maybe it has scarred him a little bit. But yeah, I just found that interesting as a parent now, and as maybe a challenging teen back in the day. But so yeah, that was a good listen. Highly recommend it. Peter Crouch, Diary even of a CEO.
Amazing. Before we round up this episode, Jordan, I have to apologise to the viewers, listeners.
What for?
I think it was the last episode of the episode before. I said that leaving YouTube on leaves your Teams active.
You did indeed.
So for the work at home crew that use Teams, that doesn't work.
Is it not true?
It does not work. There is, however, an alternative.
This disciplinary has been handed out left, right and centre because of you.
And you know what? I need to caveat this. My wife went to me, if anyone from work listens to the podcast, they're going to think you got that from me.
Yeah.
And my wife is a much more of a saint than I am, so
Washed her hands of you.
but I believe there are different methods of keeping your teams active.
Are you sure?
I am.
Go on then.
I'm going to leave it hanging.
Just do some work. That's
Actually be on a call.
that's a foolproof way.
I don't even know how Teams works. I don't use it.
Do you know what, actually, no one's bothered, but Teams is quite good. So if you are a regular listener of the podcast and you've not yet given us a review or a rating,
Oh, yes.
please do. I think we're rocking a 5-star review.
We are.
I think after my booby song, maybe not. Might have gone down a little bit. And if you're watching on YouTube, why not give us a like and subscribe?
Yeah, please do like and subscribe. And on TikTok and Instagram, we are Jordan, our Instagram goal for Christmas.
We did it.
We did it.
Yeah, joy to the world.
So for the listeners who haven't heard, what was the goal?
The goal was to get to 500
The goal was to get to
followers.
500 followers on Instagram. And we did it that week.
We've done it.
We've done it that week. Amazing. The next goal that I would love for your help with is that we're trying to get to 10,000 downloads on the podcast before Christmas. We are getting close.
We're nearly there.
We are nearly there.
The projections are good.
It's doing well.
It's going to be close, though.
Yeah, it's going to be really close. But I just want to say massive thank you to everyone who listens and shares and gets in touch. In touch? Really do appreciate it. We really want to hear your stories, your parenting mishaps, just your questions, your comments. Let us know.
Ping them in.
We did have one question before we go. On TikTok, we're doing TikTok live at the moment.
Oh, amazing. Thank you.
And there was a question from Sarah, which said, any attempt at raising your kids bilingual? I'd love to hear from the listeners at home, because I only speak English and I would love my daughter to speak more languages.
So my dad's Italian. He speaks about 5 or 6 languages.
Amazing. That's incredible.
I've got none of those. So when my nephew was born, my sister said, just speak to him in Italian, want him to... And when he was little, he was really quite good with his Italian. And then he went to school and he was like, just speak to me in English. So, shame on me. I've got Italian grandparents that don't speak English.
Wow.
And I don't speak Italian.
Oh, I would love to speak more languages. I meet so many people literally every week that speak multiple languages, and it's so often the Englishmen that only speak English.
Yep.
It's a bit of a shame.
It is a shame. But then also, you go abroad and everyone speaks English.
Yeah, or what I often do is I've got the Translate app on my phone. I've literally had several conversations where we're just translating between each other, so it's possible.
Amazing.
Oh, amazing. That is episode. What number are we on now?
I don't know.
25, I'm going to guess.
Mid-20s.
Mid-20s. Thanks so much for listening, and we will see you. I was going to say hear you, but we won't hear you.